Hi everyone, I'm David Wojcik and this is MBOT TV. Stories we covered this week: the results of Mississauga votes, MBOT goes to Ottawa, an evening with the minister, and we welcome back our Director of Government Relations, Brad Butt, who has news on the repeal of Bill 148, the province's position on climate change, and an update on the Trans-Pacific Partnership trade deal. Welcome to MBOT TV, a weekly recap of what happened in business at the Mississauga Board of Trade and around the city of Mississauga. First up, the sixth installment in our series on the corporate execution gap. Here's Fred Pitsadny from Focus Management with our Guru Gap segment on helping your team fly further when creating an execution strategy.
Thanks, David. Let's focus for 59 seconds. Hi, I'm Fred. Why do geese fly in a V formation? Well, it does look awesome, but elegance is not the motivation. Geese in alignment fly 71% further. They create uplift for their mates with the leader doing a lot of hard work up front. Feel familiar? Geese optimize their capacity and capability instinctively. Organizations generally do not. Great leaders provide them with a compelling purpose. John F. Kennedy engaged millions when he set the goal to travel to the moon and back within the decade. You need to be crystal clear on why your team exists and why it matters. Ask the question why until you can define the root meaning of the work to be done. How will you help your customers fly further? Make it happen. Back to you, David.
Thanks, Fred. Ontarians went to the polls on October 22nd, and Mississauga voters decided on their councillors and mayor for the next 4 years. In a no-surprise win in the race for mayor, Bonnie Crombie easily won with 77% of the vote. After the win, Mayor Crombie said, "Thank you, Mississauga. I'm overwhelmed by your confidence in my leadership. We've achieved a lot over the past 4 years, but there's still more to do. You have my promise that I will continue to work as hard as I did the first 4 years in the next 4. I will continue to be a strong voice for residents and businesses at City Hall." Ward 2 incumbent councillor Karen Ross won with a staggering 92% of the vote. Ward 3 incumbent councillor Chris Fonseca with 74%. Ward 4 incumbent councillor John Kovac with 52%. Ward 5 incumbent councillor Karen Parrish won with 63%. Ward 6 incumbent councillor Ron Starr edged out his opponent with 36%. Ward 8 incumbent councillor Matt Mahoney won with 79%. Ward 9 incumbent councillor Pat Sato won with 77%. Ward 10 incumbent councillor Sue McFadden won with a resounding 90%, and Ward 11 incumbent councillor George Carlson secured another 4 years with 69% of the vote. In the 2 open wards, we welcome Ward 1 councillor Stephen Dasco and Ward 7 councillor Depika Demerla. Mr. Dasco ran in Ward 1, which was vacated with the passing of Jim Tovey, and Ms. Demerla ran in Ward 7, which was vacated with the retirement of longtime councillor Nando Ianica. Mr. Ianica is now in the running to be selected as the regional chair. The official swearing in of the new council will take place at the beginning of December. Your Mississauga Board of Trade was in Ottawa as a witness before the Transport Committee studying noise at Pearson Airport. MBOT noted the airport is a vital contributor to our economy, enjoying over 40,000 people directly employed and supporting over 130,000 employees in the immediate vicinity. Pearson Airport is the busiest airport in Canada and is the 5th most connected airport on the planet. The Canadian Chamber of Commerce was host to a number of ministers in Ottawa last week, including our own Minister of Innovation, Science and Economic Development, Navdeep Bains. The minister spoke positively about innovation, trade, and Canada's place on the international stage. Coming up is our political report with Brad Butt and MBOT's upcoming events listing. But first, are you looking for ways to save money on your employee benefits? The Chamber Plan can help.
The Chamber's plan now offers employee benefit programs with greater selection, higher coverage levels, and more value than ever before. Take another look and see why we're the choice of more small businesses than any other plan in Canada. The Chamber's plan. It's for your benefit.
And now a big welcome back to MBOT's Director of Government Relations, Brad Butt, with our political update. Brad?
Thanks, David. The Ontario government has tabled Bill 47, the Making Ontario Open for Business Act. As part of the reforms announced, the government will take immediate action to repeal much of the burdensome, job-killing red tape imposed by the previous government through the previous Bill 148. These reforms include maintaining Ontario's current minimum wage at $14 per hour until 2020, to be followed by increases tied to inflation. The government will also replace the previous government's personal emergency leave rules. Instead, for the first time in Ontario history, workers will be able to take up to 3 days for personal illness, 2 for bereavement, and 3 for family responsibilities. Current provisions for domestic and sexual violence leave will be maintained, which is a valuable protection for employees. The proposed reforms will also reduce the red tape burden around scheduling while updating the Labour Relations Act. Both the Ontario Chamber of Commerce and Mississauga Board of Trade applauded the government's move to repeal most of the Bill 148 provisions. The bill will also dissolve the Ontario College of Trades. Since its inception in 2009, the college has become overly focused on enforcement and regulation, limiting its ability to serve the public interest by attracting and training new tradespeople, a key issue identified by businesses in Ontario. The bill will work its way through the legislature and is expected to pass before the Christmas-New Year break to ensure that statutory increase in the minimum wage on January 1, 2019 does not take place. Premier Doug Ford attended the Ontario Chamber of Commerce Ontario Economic Summit last Friday and rolled out an Ontario is Open for Business campaign. He stated that signs will be erected close to border crossings to encourage business to come to Ontario. The Government of Ontario has also reformed the police record check system, which were often a source of red tape frustration for businesses and the not-for-profit sectors, delaying job and volunteer opportunities. The Police Record Checks Reform Act comes into force on November 1st and will provide consistency by defining 3 types of police record checks, as well as standardization of the type of information that can be released. Police record check legislation brought in by the previous government risked the loss of jobs in Ontario as companies contracted to perform background checks considered relocating to jurisdictions with less red tape. At the Ontario Tourism Summit that I attended last week, the Honourable Sylvia Jones, Minister of Tourism, Culture and Recreation, announced province-wide consultations on a new tourism strategy for Ontario. Well, this is very timely, given the municipal accommodation tax being levied by the City of Mississauga on our hotels and motels, which is estimated to generate close to $10 million annually. MBOT continues to monitor this closely and support our hotel and motel members to ensure this money is reinvested in tourism activities and infrastructure. The Ministry of the Environment, Conservation and Parks has launched a public consultation on a Made in Ontario climate change plan. The public can comment on some key areas of focus for Ontario's new plan, which will replace the previous government's insistence on imposing a carbon tax on Ontario families and businesses, and instead focus on collaborative approaches that will actually help the environment. In particular, the consultation will focus on resiliency efforts pollution reduction, and how government can better partner with the private sector on sustainable solutions. The MBOT Environment, Sustainability and Infrastructure Committee has already responded, requesting support for business and the establishment of an innovation fund, which the government is considering. You too can participate by linking onto the ministry website. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced last week that there will be a federal pollution pricing system in place in Ontario, New Brunswick, Manitoba, and Saskatchewan in 2019. This is the next step in the government's plan to protect the environment and grow the economy. Any direct proceeds collected will go directly back to people in these provinces. Households will receive a climate action incentive, which will give most families more than they will pay under the new system. Funds will also be given to the province's cities, schools, hospitals, businesses, and Indigenous communities to help, for example, help them become more energy efficient and reduce emissions, helping Canadians save even more money and improve our local economies. The provinces of Ontario and Saskatchewan have vowed to fight this in court, arguing the federal government does not have the jurisdiction to implement such a carbon taxing system. However, the Business Council of Canada welcomed the federal government's announcement regarding its plan to implement carbon pricing in Canada. For many years, they have advocated for carbon pricing as the most efficient means to contribute to achieving Canada's climate change goals. Last week, the Senate of Canada passed the bill that will implement the Comprehensive and Progressive Trans-Pacific Partnership Trade Deal. The CPTPP will bring down the previously prohibitive trade barriers for Canadian businesses across a number of sectors, offering the potential to significantly reduce market entry costs and facilitate access to nearly 500 million new consumers. And finally, congratulations to Mississauga Mayor Bonnie Crombie and the 11 councillors elected to serve our city for the next 4 years. MBOT looks forward to working with you on issues of importance to the business community, and I'm delighted to be back to work on those with you. Back to you, David.
Thanks, Brad. MBOT hosts more than 100 events per year. Here's what's coming up at your Mississauga Board of Trade. On November 7th, Membership Matters is at MBOT, a session for new members to discover all the great benefits that your Mississauga Board of Trade has to offer. Seasoned members are always welcome to stop by for a refresher. On November 8th, our professional development series wraps up the year with the year-end checklist. Everything you need to know to close the year with a strong finish and set up for an explosive start to 2019. On November 12th, Federal Minister of Transport Marc Garneau visits MBOT. Join us for Minister Garneau's perspective on governing for the middle class. On November 14th, Good Morning Mississauga is at The View, a beautiful venue overlooking the Royal Woodbine Golf Club. Come out and connect with your MBOT colleagues. Book a speaker spot. Where else can you make over 100 cold calls in just 2 minutes? And book your tickets now for the annual Extravaganza Awards of Excellence on November 15th. Join sponsors MNP and Closing the Gap Healthcare Group as this celebration of the best in Mississauga takes place. This event has sold out for the past 2 years, so reserve your tickets and tables today. Contact your membership services manager or go to www.mbot.com. On November 22nd, join the CEO Executive Series with guest Frank Kirshner, the founder of Trias College. Find out how he built a multi-million-dollar business starting in his basement. Details about these stories and events are available at www.mbot.com. Until next week, this is David Wojcik, wishing you continued success in your business.